This is a story that will keep on giving. Thanks, David. And now, joining me on this edition of Consider This, radio personality, lawyer, and punk rocker Joe Escalante, entrepreneur and minister Martha Daniel, and editor of the Orange County Business Journal, Jerry Sullivan. Well, Jerry, you've got the most uninteresting lead-in on that one. We've got a punk rocker, a minister, and a journalist. I think we've got it all covered. Well, Joe, you were just involved in a very interesting case involving Daily Variety. You're in a band called the Vandals, well-known punk rock band.
From here,
and you guys were ripping off the trademark of Daily Variety. Tell us about that.
Well, we did. It was in 2004. We did a parody of the Daily Variety's logo, Daily Variety, the Vandals. We thought the album was a parody of the Hollywood machine. We thought it was a perfectly protected piece of art. First Amendment right to parody should be protected, and the Daily Variety said we want to it's intellectual property gluttony.
Well, yeah, we're looking at it there. I mean, it does look like it, but I mean, why isn't Variety just saying, hey, that's kind of cool. You guys are, copying us. I mean, you're not going to go into the newspaper business, I don't think. But anyway,
no.
so they sued you.
Yeah, they said that this was a infringement of their mark.
And some people are mad at you that you didn't fight them. You basically said, okay, we'll stop doing it, and if we ever do it again, we'll give you $50,000, right?
That was the deal.
And then it happened again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But then the internet changed in the 8 years between the first lawsuit in 2004 and this other one. They saw it on the internet, and then they didn't understand the internet. There's all kinds of things.
All right, so you're saying we didn't put it on the internet. Okay, and so they want $50,000. So you guys have a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Hollywood Reporter and some of Variety's competition loves this story.
Yeah,
you're David. they're Goliath. They're Goliath. And you're talking about this now because you had an out-of-court settlement where you don't have to pay anything.
No
right?
settlement at all, really. It was they just dropped the case, and the only settlement was we all bear our own attorney's fees, but we didn't have a path to attorney fees anyway.
You were the attorney fees for your group.
Right. I spent 2 years of solid litigation against these people. They sued me in Delaware. We had to have it moved to Los Angeles, file a motion. They opposed that motion. They did everything they could to cost us money, and they ended up costing themselves dearly, and now there's no confidentiality, so I can talk about it now.
Right, and they aren't commenting. I called Reed Elsevier, their parent company, and the lawyers aren't saying anything. So, Jerry, is this just this looks terrible. Goliath beating up on a little guy. Could there be another side to this story?
Well, yeah, in the first place, I'm guessing that Variety created that script, that font.
Even if they created it, we have a First Amendment right to parody anything protected.
At any rate, to me, I would say that's intellectual property. I remember I was tending bar one time when I was a much younger man, and one day a fellow walked in from Coca-Cola with a big lawsuit. He said, you serve generic soda here, and people come in and ask for a rum and Coke, and you serve it, and we're suing you.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, what Coca-Cola wanted was to police a trademark, and periodically they have to go before a trademark court and say, look, we do pay attention to this, we do try and police a trademark. So you're saying
the reason they were picking on Little Joe was not because they really wanted to pick on Little Joe, but they had to protect their trademark.
I don't know if that's what the particulars of this case, but they do have to go out and show a trademark judge periodically that over the last 8 years we have policed our trademark.
It's a myth. This is a myth that you have to sue people to do this. You can send a letter, and a letter to your bar would have been just as suitable. A letter to us saying we disagree with this parody. But if you take it to the step where you're going to sue someone and ruin their business, and then it's overreaching. It was an abuse of the federal process, and that's what they're worried about now. Is we might come after them.
Well, Joe, speaking of the intricacies of intellectual property and everything, a much bigger issue is, you talk about the latest pirate movie out of Hollywood. It's Hollywood versus Silicon Valley internet piracy. Hollywood says that people that go to these file sharing sites and they download videos and they download music, that this costs the entertainment industry billions of dollars a year. So they want legislation in Congress and from the president to deal with this. Hollywood's got clout, but guess what? Silicon Valley has clout too. And like Mel Gibson in Braveheart, freedom, internet freedom. They want freedom, and that they say, that what Hollywood wants is that if you forward something to a friend, or you download something you don't even know where it came from, that they can come after you. What do you make of this, Joe?
Well, I don't think it was so much Silicon Valley that won this battle. It was just the rank and file of the internet users and the Reddit.com and the people that are out there fighting for internet freedom. I don't agree with all their positions, but in this case, they saw an overreaching, and I think everybody agrees this law was overreaching. That the SOPA and the PIPA acts that were that were the latest thing that Hollywood brought to Congress.
Right.
And it wasn't Silicon Valley, I believe, that knocked it down. It was your average
you
internet
had
user.
Wikipedia went offline for a day or something just to protest. But anyways, Martha, what do you think of this?
The internet's a big monster, but actually, I believe that it was the Googles and the Wikipedia. I mean, when you can bring up 132 million people in a few hours of shutting down that saw something, that's saying that you're complaining and you could do quite a bit of damage to what's happening. But I do believe that Hollywood is asking to police something. And they're saying, I'm losing money, so we're going to go after the internet companies because they're doing this. Well, the internet is so big, this big old world we created, this big old gigantic monster we created, now we all of a sudden say we need to police it. Yes, we do, but the way that you do that is to get the content people together with the technology people and begin to look at solutions. I can assure you that whoever wrote those acts did not have a technologist to look at the implications of what that would cause to those internet companies to be the police of the internet. Yeah. And I just totally disagree with that.
And I know they're working in Congress because Congress and President Obama don't want to say no to Hollywood, so they're still trying to work on something. But Jerry, it's kind of interesting. This sort of cuts across political lines. Maybe the guy that has come out the most strongly in favor of the intellectual property is Rick Santorum. He's kind of voiced that. All the others, including President Obama, seem to be saying we've got to have a free internet.
No, it does cut across lines. I'm a big believer in intellectual property rights. I think Hollywood has a right to intellectual property on their movies. But I think SOPA, if you look at it, it's just...
what does that stand for?
Stop online
piracy.
Stop online piracy.
Right. And it just looks like it's just full of unintended consequences. It's just too big and broad and dangerous in that way.
And isn't it so much like Hollywood to go for the whole enchilada?
But they really have to start addressing the demand side.
What I found out in my lawsuit...
They're not going to... I don't see them ever really buttoning up the supply side of this. They have to try and reduce the demand. We have a culture that it's become okay.
Yes.
To take intellectual property.
How do you stop? I mean, these kids, if they can get free videos or free music,
I don't know why, but you have an industry that's the greatest storytellers in the world and the great influencers. I recall talking to a guy from the ATF, and he was trying to do a similar thing with straw buyers of guns, and was told, how do you stop it? And his point was Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And prior to them, we had a very casual attitude toward drunk driving.
We're going to have Mothers Against Internet Pirates.
Well, some similar, but it can be done. His point was you can change perceptions.
Well, the film business did this at the beginning of the piracy problem on the internet with their trailers before films, and they showed a truck driver who gets hurt from piracy. I think that was very effective.
I'd like to start a group, stop these 30-second commercials you have to watch before you get to the thing you want to link to. But anyways, we do have to move on. A big issue now